fear. I'm from Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect by your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere.
Yo, what's good? Let's bring IG in. If you don't know who we're listening to, this is Outkast off the famous Stankonia. Right, this is Miss Jackson. Yeah, you heard it, Miss Jackson. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Sorry, Danae. Sorry. I am for real. Sorry, Miss Jackson. A true Scorpio in the building. Seeing what's good. Oh, y'all already know tonight we about to act a fool. I got my man Stephen Powell in the building. We talking about Derrick Jaxn, Simpin, and more balance. Yes, sir, Sid, I see you. Yeah, Sid Vicious. So, yeah, and ladies, I definitely want to get your opinion on it. We gonna barbecue Derrick Jaxn tonight. And not because it's like some vicious stuff, like I hate the man or nothing like that. It's just, you know, we want to hold men accountable, right, Steve? We want to hold men accountable. I want to honor that man's legacy by holding him accountable on the Nitty Gritty show, alright? That's all I'm saying. Hold a man accountable, you know? His words, not mine. His words. Speaking of his words, we're going to talk a little about his words. Look, got to shout out Ford Wellness, right? Jonine Ford. Go to www.fordwellness.com if you need health advice on nutrition, workout plans, so forth and so on. Holla at Jonine Ford at Ford Wellness. www.fordwellness.com. Got to pay them bills. Yeah. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Steve, welcome back to the Nitty Gritty Show, sir.
Thanks. Good to be
Always
back.
good to have you here.
Back.
You know what I'm saying? This is extended family. You know what I'm saying? Nitty Gritty Show, been on multiple times, giving words of advice. I shouldn't say advice. You know, speaking our thoughts. Right. We don't give advice. We don't make books. No. We don't get paid to do this. You know what I'm saying? We just talking. Some people got books to write. We don't have any book deals. You know what I'm saying? So we just...
And not looking for one.
Yeah, not looking for one either. This is just a platform for us just to have the table conversation in front of everybody, you know? That's the Nitty Gritty Show. So yeah, we don't got any book deals, but we're going to talk about it. Shout yourself out if you're watching right now on Facebook, YouTube, or IG. We can shout out your city. We definitely got the DMV in the building right now. I see that though. Shout out Sid, shout out a true Scorpio. We see you. Got some current news too to go over real quick. So NAACP, the NAACP Awards, Image Awards was on recently. Okay. Seen a lot of cool people get honored. Okay. Yeah, shout out to all those winners out there. I thought that was really dope. A lot of shows from like Netflix. A lot of people have been in various Hulu shows and all that kind of stuff. A lot of folks.
Did they have a ceremony where people showed up, or was it like the?
It looked like it. I mean, it looked like people actually came to something, but I think they still streamed a lot of it too. Okay. Mamie Altar in the building. Shout out to Clarksville, Tennessee in the building. I see you. Also, Derek Chauvin, piece of crap that he is. He's on trial right now for the death of George Floyd. Of course, they're already trying to set the narrative that, well, maybe, you know, was that the real cause of death? You know, was it the fact that he had a knee on his neck? You know, or was it the fact that, you know, he had already consumed drugs? He had, you know, pre-existing health conditions. I just don't see how 8 minutes and 43 seconds of somebody kneeing your neck, though. I don't see how that doesn't contribute.
Didn't the autopsy report already reveal that that's how he died?
I mean, that's what I thought that I read too. So I don't know how they're trying to skip their way out of that one.
Maybe they're just trying to create reasonable doubt for the jury.
I mean, of course, right? And they talked about the jury being only, I think 5 members of the jury are minorities, like 3 black people, 2 other folks with some type of distinction or something like that.
Fast forward to that verdict.
Yeah, so we'll see. You know, but it hasn't been unanimous, so we'll see. Hopefully they'll argue their butts off for justice if they pick the right ones. Shout out to Herman Altar. I see you. He said, "Hey, the Costa family." That's right. That's very appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my wifey. Shout out to the Katrina. She's not on the show today, but she here. She here in the house, y'all. You know what I'm saying? She here. But shout out to her. But we got Steve, especially with this conversation we're gonna have today. Oh yeah, this is very appropriate. And then also other current news: Kamala Harris is still waiting delays on renovations to move into the vice president's house, appointed for her to live in.
Didn't they just arrest somebody outside of there like last week?
Yeah, there was some type of situation where somebody was outside the joint, causing a little ruckus or whatever. Then on top of that, you have it's kind of like they're saying that the White House officials are saying that this is a ridiculous delay. Like a delay like this is unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's about to be Easter and she's not even in her quarters yet, which is kind of wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like that's bogus.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. If you watching right now, shout out in the comments. Yeah, simps, some women, y'all might be triggered tonight, cause we gonna go there. All right. I know there's been books written by an individual saying that single women are for grown men. Single mothers are for grown men. That's what they said. But that's literally like a minority. There's some, we won't get into that nonetheless. We're gonna set some declarations behind that first. We're not gonna just appeal to folks. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna pander because we don't got no books to sell. We don't have any books to sell, so we don't have no reason to pander. We don't have an offering plate, so we gonna get into it. So look, actually, let's just get down to it. Steve, you already know. Team Jackson.
What's happening?
You know what I'm saying?
We got it.
And for those that don't know, right? Derrick Jaxn is a social media personality. I guess that's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Some places are even giving him relationship guru.
Social media personality.
Right.
Relationship guru. Turned life coach. That's what.
Life coach. Oh, okay. That's what he calls himself. He's written a few books. He's written books like Don't Forget Your Crown.
Right.
Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other.
Need it.
Things She Wishes You Understood.
#1 bestseller.
He has a self-crown journal. Nice little journal to remind women especially. Don't forget your crown.
I understand.
Know you're deserving of all things.
Even if you don't have to work for it.
Even if you don't have to work for it. Another book, bestseller. Single Mothers Are for Grown Men Only! !
1,000 weeks at #1 in the New York.
Talk about how men need to step their game up when approaching a single mother.
A literary masterpiece.
Literary. He also has an affirmation book called I've Come Too Far.
I understand.
Yeah, 31 days of personal affirmations.
Wow.
So you get the best to yourself. And last but not least, a 3-part book series called A Cheating Man's Heart. Fictional.
And that's a fictional.
That's a fictional.
Okay.
I don't know if it's that fictional anymore, but fictional. Fictional literary piece of genius.
I mean, I just want to say that there have been many great writers throughout human history. But when I think of comparing Mr. Jackson to anyone, I'd probably go as far as to say he's the best we have since Shakespeare.
The best we have since Shakespeare?
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold. That's a bold prediction right there.
I mean, look at the body of work.
The body of work is vicious.
I mean, it is egregious.
So we're talking Derrick Jaxn tonight because Derrick Jaxn recently has flooded our IG stories, our Facebook timelines, our Twitter, TikTok. Comedians have blessed us with memorable stories and memes.
He actually hit some real media too. Newsweek had.
He was on the Breakfast Club. First on the Breakfast Club. He was in their little news stream. Angela Yee's joint. The Daily Topic, right? And then he finally made Donkey of the Day. He finally made Donkey of the Day. Charlamagne called him out. And he was on Brilliant Idiots with Charlamagne too.
Oh, with that white boy.
Yeah, right. So. And he wanted to hold Charlamagne accountable because Charlamagne had cheated on his wife. And for those that don't know, Derrick Jaxn, his whole mission in life is to hold men accountable to their cheating ways. Black men specifically, their cheating ways, their immature ways, how they need to grow up. Be accountable and productive members of society. You know what? I know a lot of you are watching this like, well, what's the problem? That all sounds good. And honestly, there's no issue with that. But he really beats men down. If you watch his videos, matter of fact, I gotta play this because I want y'all to get a sense of where this brother's coming from and some of the bravado behind his advice. This is a video of him in his car.
Quick, 'cause I ain't got long in this.
He's talking about Simpin.
I saw a video of a guy, and he was talking about, how hard it is to be faithful for a man. If he was a player, if you got a player ass nigga, you gotta understand that the shit is difficult for him to be with you and only you, so you should be grateful. I wholeheartedly disagree. You know what I mean? And I got tagged in this by a couple of people. But let me say this: I have no sympathy for a man who finds it to be difficult to be faithful after being in a promiscuous lifestyle, and neither should you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that it's not difficult, because of course it's difficult to change habits. If that's your lifestyle, if that's what you're accustomed to, different women every day, every week, or whatever, yeah, it's going to be difficult whenever you go cold turkey and go straight to one woman. Absolutely. But it's not a woman's job to try and compensate for that,
not at all,
or to rub us on our belly when we do the oh so difficult task of being with her and only her.
Right.
Why is that? Because damn it, we made the decision.
We made the decision.
Unless you put a gun in your head and say, hey, you need to be with me and only me, nobody else, you need to drop all your hoes, whatever. You have no reason to be looking to her for consolation for being a faithful man. Right. And no,
we don't celebrate faithful men.
You shouldn't be sitting there acknowledging how hard you work and to keep your dick in your pants. That's an agreement you made. And if you ain't want what all came with being with her and only her, damn it, you shouldn't agree to it. You don't get a whip and then start bitching about having to keep gas in it or keep the oil changed. Why? Because you know that's what comes with having a whip. Damn it, if you don't like it, you can fucking walk. It's that simple. But it's not a woman's job or responsibility to tell us that we're doing such a good job by coming home every night and not fucking around on her. No, she can't be 4 or 5 women like we're accustomed to. She wasn't built to be. Those are unrealistic expectations you trained your mind and your body to be accustomed to. She didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? You trained yourself to have these unrealistic woman expectations of somebody who's always in a good mood, always happy.
All right. So, and you know what, Herman? I really appreciate the questions you just asked, because that's a perfect segue question, right? He said he can agree with that, what he just said. He's like, it's not his. And I think most people at face value will be like, I can agree with that. Simone, what's good? DMV in the building. Most people would agree with that. Like, yeah, what did Derrick Jaxn say wrong? He was saying, you're supposed to be faithful. You're not supposed to be cheating, messing around on your wife. Shout out Herman Altar. He's been with his wife over 30 plus years, right? So he's like, why is this a problem? Right. Well, honestly, Herman, this isn't a problem. But I tell you what is, the fact that the man who so provocatively had to put out there all this information just got caught cheating. And while he was making this video, was probably leaving his mistress' house. He's been exposed for cheating for years. This is someone who, when John Gray got caught with his scandal, he called him out, made all kind of noise, helped him sell more books and everything. When Charlamagne got caught cheating on his wife, he wanted to call it out and say, honestly, I feel like the man should leave. He's made tons of videos where he's like, man, you get caught cheating, I don't care if it's one time, because the chances are if it was one time, it was really multiple times. That was just your first time getting caught. Isn't that what the man said?
Exactly what he said.
And he was like, so if a man is cheating, chances are he's been cheating. This is his first time getting caught. A woman should leave that man. He don't even believe in like the redemptive power of Christ, according to him. He's like, listen, that man is trash. He needs to grow up. You leave him immediately. Not my words, his words. So it's interesting when this man who has literally made money off of women. Yeah, and I figured Dad you wouldn't know that, because I know you don't follow that kind of mess. You know what I'm saying? I know you don't follow this. I get it. So yeah, at face value, if you saw one of his videos, you'd be like, hey, that young brother, guess he's talking about being faithful and fidelity, and it sounds like good stuff to me. And anybody from your generation would agree, but hey, what's the brother doing wrong? Until you find out he's been cheating for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
He said in an apology recently that he had a sexual relationship with a woman for 9 years. Mind you, he's been married for only 6. But he's been dealing with a woman for 9 years, had a sexual relationship without having sex, because he was trying to clean it up. Then he came back later and apologized with his wife saying, okay, well, look, guys, I just want to make the record straight. I did cheat. Yes, and that is as far as actually having sex outside my marriage and doing all of this and doing all of that.
Right.
So, constantly lying. And every step of the way, for those wondering, as he's apologizing for these lies and taking such a bold stance, he's still trying to sell a book.
Yeah, in the first video, he had the book.
He got the book in the video.
And then on the next one, he was holding his wife's hand. Looked like he was holding her hostage. But you know what's funny? That video was 4 years old, and it sounded like to me he was talking about relationships in the natural sense. But obviously, last week he brought God into it, which I think is unfair, because you know he's just a man who made a natural choice to step out on his wife. God had nothing to do with that. I think a lot of times we look at some of these folks and forget that God has given us a spirit of free will. Redemption, yes, but God has nothing to do with where you decide to go and have sex with. That's not the devil. That's not God. He's just a man.
That's your flesh.
And let's be honest, he's a 31-year-old man. He's been giving relationship advice for 6 years, since he was 25, right? So he's a man who wasn't used to the attention.
Baltimore in the building.
And he made a natural choice. That's it. And if he had just said, I cheated and I was wrong, I don't think he would be getting this amount of vitriol, albeit, yes, for his content, but his response to all of this coming out is actually a little bit telling about the type of person he actually is. And that's even beyond the cheating. You can be a man and make a mistake. And if your wife decides to take you back, that's between your wife and your God, if you've allowed him to enter into your marriage. It's not for us to know. Yeah. So.
But he was so quick to make the videos. I got some comments. Oh, my comments is going off. Simona said he's trifling. Good for nothing type of brother. Nah. She said trifling. He said she was hostage. I mean, he was squeezing her hand hard. We got Joel Gamble in the building. He said Derrick Jaxn, laugh out loud. Yo is trash and his wife is tripping. Yeah, her videos are comical. We're gonna get into that. Got some more people joining right now. Shout to City out if you in the comments right now watching. Herman even said, even made me, both of them almost in unison, Dirty Dog. And you're right, Dirty Dog. You know, he's kind of reminiscent of sometimes some of these shiesty pastors, and we know not all pastors are shiesty. Not all people giving relationship advice are trying to give bad advice, right? Absolutely. But there's a group of people out there, their desire, honestly, is to sell books and to make a name for themselves. And it's like the pastor who would be driving around in a Bentley, and meanwhile, there's members that have been going to his church for the last 6 years, struggling to actually make a difference, and they still driving the same Honda Civic. But he's going to put that pressure on them. I know you're hurting. Make sure you pay them tithes.
But we also
you get what I'm saying? Make sure you give extra money to the building fund.
Right. We also have to assess accountability on those people attending that church for that amount of time. If you've been under the guise of that prosperity preaching for years upon years upon years, and your pastor is driving around in nice cars and has jets and everything like that, and you're still going there, and your life hasn't elevated to the financial point you want it to be, albeit getting these teachings, then there has to be some accountability as to why you're still going there. Yeah. There are a lot of people listening to Derrick Jaxn for years, and there will be a lot that will continue to listen to him. Yeah. Right? He is not responsible for how we digest his content.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I think, and that's where, you know, people do have to take the personal onus of how much stock we put into people that we chose to follow. I don't care if it's a civil rights leader, relationship guru, pastor, whatever. When you blindly follow somebody, and he said this in one of his videos, he's like, listen, because when he was first coming out with the video, because he got exposed over last weekend.
That's the only reason why he told, by the way. Let's be honest. He didn't. He had no intention of ever, because another YouTube personality got with some of the people he was dealing with, and it forced his hand. He had no intention of doing that.
So for those that don't know, so the only reason why he exposed himself, actually while we were live last Sunday for the Nitty Gritty show, he was actually going live exposing it, and it hit the news media Monday morning, right? And the only reason why he went live is, I guess, somewhere Sunday during the day, another, like you said, social media personality had met with some of the women, multiple women he had slept with. One of the women said that some of the videos he was making in the car was in front of her house. Like, you could see her house in the background. So he's talking about men cheating. Think about the kind of disgusting individual this is. He's making these videos, gaslighting women, talking about men ain't this, and men need to grow up, and cheating men this, and men that don't pay all the bills this, all of that. And meanwhile, he's making the video after being deep into some other woman.
Deep.
Smelling like her still, on the way to his wife in the car making a video. What kind of narcissist kind of person would do that?
He's a maniac.
Super maniac. We know pastors that have done that. We know there's been pastors out there. We know that there's been politicians out there that will have this stance on something, and then meanwhile you find out, i.e., between the 5 governors and senators that came against Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. All 5 of them end up having sexual indiscretions of their own. Most of them, I think 4 out of 5, with men.
That's normally how it is. The staunchest people against a certain lifestyle or way of life, you find out that they are the ones that are deep rooted into what they're speaking against.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The biggest transgressors against the very things they take platform on. Shout out to Joel. He said, right. Accountability with y'all paying tithes still. That's wild. So, yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting thing when you say, like, when you start breaking down the kind of individual this guy is, that's when it's kind of like, wow. And I remember I had someone, I won't go into the details of the relationship, but I had someone I was in a relationship with, they sent me a Derrick Jaxn video, right? Talk about, this man got the right idea. If you was a real man, you would operate like he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, though, Derrick Jaxn cheated on his wife. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy. Sometimes we'll idolize certain people because they sound good, and then they'll send you stuff saying, like, this man understands it. This. And then be like, first of all, that message ain't for me. And then second of all, that guy should really take his own advice.
And not only that, like when you go to YouTube, when you go to the internet, if you're looking for somebody to listen to, you're not looking for somebody to listen to tell you what you need to work on. You're looking for someone to agree with some of the things you already feel. So he knew that there was a subset of single black women that only wanted to talk about where the men were failing or what the men weren't doing.
Exactly.
And he fulfilled that need. Just like with Joel Osteen. I'm not going to speak to the content of that man's character, but he fulfills a need of hope.
Yeah.
Like whether it's false or not, whether you believe it or not, he gives people hope. It's never about fire and brimstone. It's always about streets paved with gold.
Yeah, and you know, and back in the day, the church was balanced. You heard about blessings, but then you heard also about, you know, the consequences of your actions at the same rate.
Right.
And then the prosperity message came along, and it was all about the prosperity, but what about the changing of your heart?
Right.
See, church should be balanced. And I like it when I hear people talk about church. Shout out to my parents, they go to Faith Outreach. I hear a balanced response. They'll talk about how you can achieve great things through the power of Christ, but then they'll talk about how people need to change their bad ways through the power of Christ, and how you living ain't right. If you living with racism, if you're living with contempt towards others, and you're selfish. You see, the message has to be balanced. It can't be just fire and brimstone, but at the same time, it can't just be just wait and see. God gonna give you your blessing.
But see, that don't make money though.
No, it don't make money. It don't make money the same way.
Derrick Jaxn,
you gotta give people what they want to hear.
Derrick Jaxn can't make money off holding women accountable because men don't buy his books.
Exactly.
So he can't get on the video and say, you know what, I've been talking a lot about what men need to do. I like to talk about what women need to do. You could imagine what would happen.
Oh yeah, he'll stop. So all these books, Don't Forget Your Crown, The Things She Wishes You Understood, Single Mothers Are for Grown Men Only. Who you think are buying these books? I ain't buying it.
No.
Did you buy the book? My bad. Let me not assume. Maybe you bought it.
I can't read.
To my fellas watching right now, maybe y'all bought the book. Did you buy the book? Shout out Jeff, but more Baltimore the building. Joe, did you buy the book? I don't want to assume that men didn't buy the book, but this didn't sound. These don't sound like books that men went out to Amazon Prime and purchased. Joe said, Yo was talking. He was talking ish about Gilly the King about liking pics on IG. Meanwhile, the cheating on his wife. Yeah. I mean, he was always calling out men. Joel said also. He said, "Yep, that was catering to what some women wanted to hear." Absolutely. If you're in the building, shout out. Oh, I see you, Stacey Lynn. Was good. So, and then and shout out to Herman. He talked about balance. Amen to balance, right? You gotta have balance in your approach. And I think what happens. Because, you know, we got to ask the question. Someone would ask the question. I've seen a lot of women ask this. Should men... Herman said we'll never buy his book. But, you know, a lot of women were asking the question. And then I hear seeing some men ask the question. Should we be rejoicing over what's happened to Derrick Jaxn? And I don't think... Well, I think some men were rejoicing. Yeah. I think some men really... And that's foul in itself.
There's some funny elements to what's happening.
Yeah.
You got to understand that there's a marriage that's probably ending right? That's not good.
Possibly, yeah. We don't want to see black
a
love,
black
man.
family.
You know, and he has kids with his wife.
Right?
Yeah,
but you know, it's probably healthier for them if they do separate and begin a co-parenting relationship, because this doesn't seem like behavior that he's looking to change.
Yeah, it looks like he's still trying to sell more books, and because like even when he talks about his timeline, he said that last year they were going through some things, and he claimed he didn't want to blame his wife, but he kept on using his wife as an excuse why they were doing. He's like, my wife wouldn't let me see my kids, my wife was about to leave me, and then he said in February he got saved, then he started going through some more stuff, then he said in May.
Okay, I want to address that. I
gotta talk about his timeline.
I don't understand why if someone gets saved, they feel that all of the desires of the flesh are just supposed to dissipate. Like he kept bringing that up, like as if he stopped being a man. You know what I mean? He's still a man.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a saved man, but he's still flawed and has desires and things like that. That yes, he has to exhibit some self-control and discipline. But just because he got saved in February, don't mean in March he's not going to want to sleep with somebody else, because that's just who he is. He has to make a choice. Again, he got to choose. Going to the altar is the easy part. You can get saved once a week on the internet now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's how you live your life. There are a lot of great people I know who haven't accepted Jesus Christ, but are wonderful people, right? So it's just a matter of how you go about your life. And he kept bringing that up and kept bringing God into it. And that's how I know he doesn't really believe what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, he was a poor representation of the church. I didn't like it because he claimed he got saved in February. And then he was like, you know, I gave my life to God. I was doing all this for God. Then he said in May, so we're talking literally 3 months later, come May, he was like, I was tired of God. I feel like he let me down. So it's like, oh no, because you wanted, so you learned this in the cycle of abuse, right? Ladies, I'm going to pimp y'all to some game real quick. Actually, men and women alike. People who are abusers, right? There's a cycle of abuse. So what happens is you have the incident, and then they do these grand gestures. Be careful of the people that do the grand gestures to counter when they do something wrong to you. Whether it's physical abuse, verbal abuse, abusing you by messing up your trust, whatever abuse. The abuse comes in varying forms. But there's the act of abuse. So then there's what they call a honeymoon period, where they admit their transgressions or whatever, and then they do some crazy gesture, right, to start the honeymoon phase. And what they do is, these are the guys who buy all these roses, show up to your job, almost imposing their will on you. We've seen women do the same thing too, right? And then what happens, there's this cycle where, everything is perfect, everything is rosy, and then the abuse comes again, right? And then there's another grand gesture, but the honeymoon phase shortens. And what happens is it gets to the point where there's basically no honeymoon phase. It's a problem. They ask for forgiveness, and before you know it, before the turn of a week, he's doing something else crazy, right? So I felt like, based off how he was talking about Christ and coming to church, it looked like he didn't really want true change. It seems like this was a grand gesture to start a new honeymoon phase.
I'll go to church. I'll get saved.
Yeah, I can change. Right, the old John Legend song.
Because he had said it that she had already been.
She already been saved.
Living Christ-like. And, that's probably I never thought about that. Where he probably got saved to get his wife back, and then when she came back, got right back to doing what he do best.
And and it's not that we care that much about Derrick Jaxn, but what this does open up a greater conversation of what real people need to understand, right? People need to recognize this kind of stuff in people. I don't care if it's friends, folks you know. If somebody does something foul, they do the grand gesture, and then there's not an awesome change. And I'm sorry, real change, it's just not enough to go to the altar and say, I'm going to give my life to Christ. Join the men's group at the church. Get under the tutelage of a man who's been married, right? Not live the perfect marriage. Someone who is still actively married, doing the best he can to make that marriage work. There could be faults in the process, but at least that man can give you honest, open advice, right? Like, change requires real work. And I'm sorry, you can't tell me the same man who said he doesn't apologize and he has no sympathy for a man that cheats. You mean to tell me you try God for 90 days and you give up?
It'd be like that.
You get what I'm saying?
He tried to jump from saved to beacon of hope. To your point, change is iterative. It takes time. You fall as a good person. You fall as a husband, a father. Like, these things are going to happen, especially for somebody who at the time was only 30. And I don't say only 30, but he's still relatively young in his career and in his marriage, of course. So it's unfortunate. I mean, it's still pretty funny, but it's unfortunate.
It's funny because who it came from, but then it's it's a very real situation that people need to talk about. Alyssa said we shouldn't rejoice, but I'm glad he's been exposed because he's been leading a lot of women with false. He doesn't back up none of the stuff he's saying with data and statistics.
It's pulpit pimping, 101.
Yeah, pulpit pimping. Yeah. And that's nothing against the church, right? Because we know the church is a beacon of hope, and it is a place where people get saved, right?
Most of the people that fall for pulpit pimping are single women, so we're not.
Yeah, and these people aren't really trying to become new creatures in Christ. Sometimes these folks are just they want to hear what makes them feel good, and then they go out into the world using it to judge others. But like, are they really changing who they are, right? Joel said yo dropped a new book link after his confession. Though laugh out loud, the new book was how they got through the infidelity, and it's crazy. He's looking for every way to make $1, and I mean that goes for all these relationship gurus on TV. The Steve Harveys. He told women what they want to hear, and they bought that book. It was a New York Times bestseller.
I bought the book, went to see the movies.
Told women they should wait to give up the booty for 90 days. I doubt Marjorie waited a week before she dropped her drawers. I mean, because I can see by the way her daughter moves, Lori. Lori ain't wasted no time. She done been with how many famous dudes already in the span of a month? Not a month, but of a year.
It's been a few.
She's been linked to what? Diddy, Michael B. Jordan as of late, a bunch of others in between.
It's been a few guys.
Ain't no way she's doing the 90-day rule because it's been more than like 6 guys in a matter of a year. So there's not enough 90-day cycles in there. You see what I'm saying? Herman said, like our pastor says, folks want their problems fixed, but they don't want to change. Amen to that. We have to live in a society where, look, the microwave suggestions and the bubble gum, literacy rate for how to fix your stuff, that's not enough. Everybody wants their life to be like a microwave. They want to be able to punch a few buttons, wait for 30 seconds, and it's ready to consume. And that's not real life.
Right.
If you want to lose weight in the gym, you got to spend time in the gym. You gotta work out.
Right.
If you want a relationship that's going to last, guess what? It has to last, meaning you have to stay in it.
Right.
There's going to be some times when y'all going to get in each other's nerves. Some people have to go through infidelity at times. Some people go through abuse. But we've seen people work their way through these things. But guess what? At the end of the day, it takes time and commitment to it. Now, only you can decide what you're going to deal with and what's worth it. But I think preaching this false message of just don't accept this, don't accept that, there'll be a lot of people watching this show, who've watched this show, and a lot of marriages out there that would have ended the second that someone falls short of perfection.
Yeah.
And he preached a message of being perfect,
Above
and
reproach.
no one can live to that.
Above reproach.
Exactly.
He definitely came from a place of he should be the example that black men should follow, and I do think more black men need more examples, whether they're saved or not, but examples of how black men should be in relationships as husbands and fathers. So. And he tried to fulfill that role while failing in his personal life, which really isn't the problem. The problem is how he approached it. With, it almost sounded like he was talking down to people who look just like him from mistakes that he was making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, this is coming off seeing the Will Smith situation with Jada. You know what I'm saying? Which was, because it's like the same situation, right? Jada has this platform where she's getting into people's business, and she had this approach where she came off as the expert, as look, I'm the example of how things go well, and so this gives me the levity to speak to how you need to fix yourself.
Right.
And then meanwhile, she's sleeping with her son's friend, not her husband's friend, her son's friend. And I think I wanted to have this conversation because I care less about Derrick Jaxn. He got nothing to do with me and my relationship, but I do know this. A lot of people out there put too much stake into what they see on social media. They see the couple that seems perfect. Everybody wants to say relationship goals, couple goals. And we can't get caught up in that because people go through real things in a relationship. And nobody is going to post pictures of their problems. They're going to post pictures of trips to Disney. They're going to post pics of trips to Aruba, going to Cairo or Mexico. They're not going to talk about how that joker get on his nerves or get on her nerves. You get what I'm saying? So we can't get so caught up into the exterior of what people are giving us, because they're only going to give us their best. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's ever going to give you the problems. People are going to show you the new house, but they're not going to show you how, man, we had to grind for 5 years to get our credit in order. Nobody wants to tell that part of the story because that don't sound sexy. But man, the keys to that new crib look good. Your IG about to get mad likes. Kids, relationships, and new material things. If you want to get likes on IG, that's all you got to show. Yeah. So therefore, that's what people always show. Because they notice, like, man, I notice when I post my kids, and I notice when I do this, I get mad likes. So then they post it all the time for the likes. It's crazy. Let me hit up Simona. She said, leave Lori alone. Now, we're talking about Lori, Simona. And she said, she is young and dating, have nothing to do with Derrick trifling. Listen, has everything to do with it, honestly, right? Especially his book, Single Mothers Are for Grown Men Only. Let me break this down real quick. I'm going to go off topic just real second. Okay. Think about that. Single Mothers Are for Grown Men Only. Now, don't get me wrong. And this is kind of a comparison because we know he gets compared a lot to Kevin Samuels. And yes, I'm about to go there. I might trigger some of y'all. That's why I put the warning out. But let's be honest. A woman, and I'm being very specific, because if you go to Kevin Samuels and watch the show, this is exactly what he's going to say, right? There's a difference between the woman who's a divorcee, right? She got married, she had a child within marriage, right? She had to leave that marriage because it was beyond fixing. Not because she wasn't happy, folks, but because the man was a habitual cheater, or was putting her life in danger, or that of her child in danger, and you have to get that out. If you have to get out that marriage, totally understand. Right. And guess what? Other men, when they approach you, are going to understand too, right? But let's just keep it 100. You got multiple baby mamas out there. You got multiple baby daddies out there. You ain't been married to none of these people. You just willy-nilly made kids. And women, I'm going to be honest. Men, we control access to relationship. But women, y'all control access to your body. We're not talking about someone who would rape, obviously. Let's take that out. But just consensual sex. You guys control access to sex, and you guys control life being brought into this earth. Because at the end of the day, it's a woman's choice to choose. Whether you're Christian or not, wherever you stand morally, at the end of the day, the woman can decide, I don't want to have this child. A woman can decide who gets to have sex, but men get to decide relationship. So, if you're a woman and you're a single mother, that means you made a conscious decision to have a baby with somebody you wasn't married to. And also, for those that's going to say, but he wasn't no good, he deceived me. Most of y'all knew that dude wasn't about nothing the day y'all opened up his legs to him and you allow him to impregnate you. Right? But then y'all want to come back and say, oh, he ain't this, he ain't this. But then you got 2 and 3 he ain't thises that you have kids with. And then I'm supposed to believe a book that says women like you are for grown men? You mean 54% of black men who don't have kids and actually have jobs? We're supposed to come in like Superman and save a woman who's immaturely open up her legs to men who ain't worth marriage, that they wouldn't first marry. So you got all these babies out here by men that weren't worthy of marriage. And then we're supposed to feel sorry that you have 2 or 3 kids outside of the confines of marriage? And you're supposed to be a prize for me to appreciate? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it don't.
Yeah, both men and women are like, because I had a child out of wedlock when I was 22, and at no point did I ever think I wasn't going to have to pay for it, meaning that it was going to affect how I dated, right? So every conversation I had with the woman started out with, how many children do you have? I have 1, and then what's the relationship like with the mother of your child? So I'm competitive. I know between me and a man who's similar age who doesn't have any children, doesn't get that question. I have to pay for that because I made that decision to lay down with the woman when we weren't married and we didn't really know each other. I just don't understand why a lot of single parents in our community don't understand that. Where it almost is like they have a kid and they feel it adds value.
No.
I gotta let folks know your children don't add value to a person's life who's single who doesn't have any kids, at least not initially. That's not like if you got little Timmy cool, but I'm here for you. Little Timmy's just a byproduct because I choose to be here.
Yeah.
He's not an asset to me. Yeah, cool, but
he only becomes an asset to that father unless that boy grows up deciding to be an asset to him.
Yeah. We have to have right, but while I'm dating you, he's somebody I may have to, get a children's meal for. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand that book to me seems kind of odd because it's a knock. I mean, if you're in the dating market, it's a knock. Me having a kid outside of marriage is a knock on me. I've always understood that.
And men tend to understand our sexual marketplace value. That's what Kevin Samuels would call it, right?
That's another thing too.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that point out loud too. Those that might didn't see it, because you're watching IG, you probably didn't see this comment. But Elisa Seth, good point. She said, "I see it all the time on paternity court. These women doing revenge cheating, but she's the one having the child." And this is a conversation we're gonna have. We're gonna talk about child support on the Nitty Gritty show. We're gonna have a whole show dedicated to child support and how they need to fix that system and address it, because. Like, everybody talks about, deadbeat father this, deadbeat father that, but the stats suggest otherwise. If the average man makes $47,000 a year, right, and the average woman only makes $18,000 a year, we know that women initiate 69% of divorces. Right?
I didn't know that.
Women initiate 69% of divorces.
I did not know that.
Literally 90% of divorces, the rationale being irreconcilable differences.
Okay.
That means they couldn't define cheating by one person as the only reason. Okay. That means they couldn't define abuse as the main source or reason.
So irreconcilable differences is it could be interpreted, is what you're saying?
It can be interpreted, but there's nothing on paper proving that man abused you or that man cheated. Because if you can hire a private PI and they could prove they cheated, then they would say cause of divorce infidelity. They will list that on the documentation. So all these women out there saying, "Oh yeah, he cheated, he beat me, he did this." If your paperwork boo-boo says irreconcilable differences, you is no victim. That means you chose not to work it out. That means the judge deemed whatever your situation was could have been worked out through therapy and time. And you decided you didn't want the therapy and you didn't want the time. Those are facts. Don't shoot the messenger. Get mad at the court system. That's how they designed that thing. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And so they talk about the term simping. And I got to bring up simping. I don't know if you guys know what simps are, right? It said, and there's multiple definitions to the Urban Dictionary, but basically you're looking at someone who does way too much for a person they like. They call that a simp. They'll say it means a guy that is overly desperate for a particular woman, especially if she's a bad person or has expressed her disinterest in him, which he continues to obsess over, right? Another definition is suckers idolize a mediocre punani, but you know they use a different term. Some male who will do anything for a little bit of a play from a woman, he is usually chasing around a woman that's not even worth the work of time. And we see this all the time on timelines. Like, this is the equivalent to what they call the female pick-me. And I think how you really define this is like, the true simp, in my opinion, or the true pick-me, in my opinion, is the person who's saying all the right things. But we know after they achieve getting a wedding ring, or for most time men getting some booty, all of a sudden their true colors come out. So they said everything that you needed to hear to get the draws. And then shortly after getting the draws, you start seeing their true colors. Like, man, like all of a sudden all that stuff he was saying, a man should do this, a man should do this for a woman. If I was your man, all them work husbands out there, if I was your man, I would have came here and brought you some lunch today.
Dirty macking.
Yeah, dirty macking. Yeah. And that's exactly what the term is, dirty macking. That's when, in order to get a woman, you got to put another man down in order to get her. Yeah. Instead of standing on the approach of your own standards and character, you got to talk bad about her boyfriend, talk bad about her husband. You should automatically see that the fact that she got a husband and go the other way, even if the husband's no good. That's not your business at that point.
Or if he was a real player, you'd have just kept it cool, like, oh, that's what's up, and kept trying to get her. You don't even mention. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're gonna, I think
if you're gonna be a dog, you don't have to put a man down.
Women who are people who are in no relationships, but if you're gonna do it, don't talk about me. If you can take mine from me, then take her. You don't have to bring me up. That's just kind of how, you know what I mean? Like if you can get her, if she's with me, you can get her. Then you should be able to get her based off your own merit. I can charge it to the game. I'm cool with that. Don't bring me into it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's so. I think, there's a lot of things that come up, and I know a lot of people like to make comparisons to Kevin Samuels. We're going to move on to the next subject. I will say this, though. Kevin Samuels doesn't make his money off of women, right? Mm-hmm. You may not agree with everything he says, but he doesn't make his money off of women. He doesn't have any books out there for sale, and he makes money doing typically corporate image consulting. So not even individual. He makes money doing some individual image consulting, but most of it comes from corporate image consulting, right? So if he was really doing it for the money, he would build a platform talking about the image of corporations, not talking about relationships between people. Other point to bring up, all his stuff you can back with data and statistics. So trust me, I track everybody. I don't care if I like you or not. It could be my brother, Roland Martin, anybody. If you say something that's new to me, I'm going to go look it up and verify, is this right? But it's something when someone is writing or saying things to appeal to one's feelings, and then immediately they're trying to push a book down your throat. That's interesting. Elisa says she's probably part of the 69%. I mean, hey, it's there. You know what I'm saying? But people, we have to start taking ownership of what we do, of the decisions we make. You can't keep on blaming somebody for your shortcomings. Speaking of blaming other people for their shortcomings, let's talk about Boulder. You read about that, right? We talked about Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. So this past Tuesday, 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Alawi Alyssa opened up fire at a King Super grocery store, killing 10 people, including a Boulder police officer. 10 people dead. I don't even like asking this question, but you know I'm going to go there. Because, come on. Black folks, as soon as we saw it, the first thing we look for to see is what color is the guy. I know. I'm one of those people guilty of that. I'll be like, well, who did this? I want to see the person who did this craziness. Right? And, you know, he looked like a white guy to me. I would never have guessed that he's of Middle Eastern descent. Specifically, he's of Syrian origin. But a lot of people who are Syrian, you wouldn't know they were ethnic. I mean, yeah, they pass for white until they start talking or until you look at their name and they're like, oh. But with this situation, he's still alive. Surprisingly, the police managed to handcuff him after he took his shirt off, only he had on his shorts. They still managed to handcuff a person who just went on a killing spree, killing one of their own, mind you. And the blame here being mental illness. They're saying that back in 2014, he started having thoughts of being followed, that his phone was being hacked by the school and jobs and whatever. His brother is saying that, you know, this is not normal for him, but he was acting kind of weird beforehand. But this is not because he's a bad person. It's because he has a mental illness issue. And they're trying to spin this sympathy thing in his approach. And then we also learned, if you've been watching the news, he was also charged with third-degree assault in 2018 for beating the brakes off of a guy. Beat him guy to the guy was bloody, face is scraped, severely assaulted because he said that person that made fun of him a week prior to him beating him up said that he had made some racist comments.
Which probably is true. I mean,
probably true, right?
Middle Eastern Boulder is not, you know, Colorado is not known to be an area of acceptance. Maybe more recently with the influx of the marijuana culture, but that's not a state you go to if you're looking for some type of like
opportunity and all that kind of stuff, right? So we know that. So my thing is this, right? When I hear this, I'm sorry, as a black man and looking at the world through my paradigm, there's just certain things I can't ignore when I listen to the facts of this story. One, when I think about people like Philando Castile, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Oscar Grant, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, people who were either already handcuffed and subdued and still died, George Floyd, Oscar Grant, people who were typical routine traffic stop, quote unquote, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, people who were sometimes in their own darn house, eating ice cream or laying down in their bed, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. No, sorry, not Ahmaud Arbery, John, I can't think of his name. No, what's John that got killed by the white lady? She actually went to jail, remember? Oh, he was eating ice cream in his house. Yeah.
She said it was her apartment.
Yeah. I remember that. Jean. He got killed in his own house eating ice cream. Breonna Taylor was asleep. They did a no-knock warrant on the wrong house, killed her. Yeah. And they did more prosecutions for what happened to the walls than they did her actually dying. Mm-hmm. So when I see situations like this where unarmed black people who meant nobody any harm get killed, how do all of these gunmen, from the cat down there in Atlanta to this recent shooting in Boulder, and constantly we see these situations where men who just went on killing sprees, killing kids, innocent people, one of your own, a police officer, and y'all can lock him up, he's alive? Y'all mean y'all didn't put 21 bullets in that Bama?
Yeah, man. I mean,
I for the life of me, I can't understand that, bro.
Excuse me for being a cynic, but this is just, this is America. I think we've gotten to a point in
Botham Jean. Thanks, Simone.
Happened a long time ago where we really understand, at least we should, that policing or people bring their biases to every job. And I don't think it's more true than being a law enforcement officer. I mean, if as a white man you see somebody who's black and you maybe think is threatening in your street clothes, I can only imagine how that escalates when you have your gun and your badge and you have all that power and everything like that. And then also those interactions that happen to a lot of our brothers and sisters were reactions with the police. These folks here, their initial encounters are with the police after the crimes have already been committed. So I think in the police's mind, they really do feel like, well, if we do it now, it won't look good. But if we do it while we're engaged in quote unquote mutual combat, then we won't get it. We won't have to be held accountable. You know what I mean?
No, I hear it, but then my only problem even with that is, okay, this person just went on a killing spree. The crime is done.
Right.
But you still have to arrest the person at some point. So you mean somewhere along the arrest, everything was peaceful? You wasn't worried about the gun that nigga just used to kill 10 people with?
No, I understand.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
Like, even if you know he used the M16, at that point, shouldn't you be worried that maybe he has a knife?
But what I'm telling you is the police officers are afraid of the repercussions of harming someone who is either white or appears white versus someone who is black or even.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's where it comes down to. If I shoot this white man, they probably thought he was white at the time. I'm going to. I can't shoot him. I mean, I'm telling you that's. It's because
I bet if he looked Middle Eastern.
Oh, he'd have got. They
would have got him. They would have lit him up. Yeah.
If they knew his name was Al-Assad before, like if they knew who he was, he'd have been gone.
Oh yeah, they would have lit him up, and then they would have poured extreme terrorism all over his face.
There'd been no problem. They'd have been on news like, yeah, Al-Qaeda hasn't accepted any responsibility for this.
We're still waiting to see, if there's any ties to his Syrian past, yada yada yada.
But there haven't been any repercussions for killing us yet.
No.
At least anything that's of note.
Only Botham Jean's killer got jail time so far, and that was a white woman.
And the judge hugged her.
Shoot, and then you had black women in the audience stroking her head, rubbing her back.
So you see what I'm saying? There's no real consequences for killing black folks, or as a police officer.
And you know what?
We kill each other, so but there are no consequences. So I think that's where it comes down to. Where it's like I have to act different when it comes to the Dylan Roofs and this gentleman here and all these other folks. But killing this white boy or this white man. It would be a problem for me versus killing a Juan or a Steve. Yeah,
and then the crazy thing about it is, shorty that killed Botham Jean, chances are he gonna get out of jail, right? She gonna get out of jail and get a lifetime movie.
Weren't they dating, or wasn't that the thing that they were dating?
Yeah, there was rumors that they probably knew of each other more and had interactions. They never did. It never came out as absolute fact, but there was a lot of
talk about that.
That possibly, that was a situation.
And that's probably why her sentence wasn't as heavy because they really couldn't tell if it was race related or not.
And then Simona, that's right, you make a good point. She only got 10 years, which really is gonna mean like 5.
I mean, she gonna get out under our note. Like she'll be out. She might not even do 5. She'll get time served. She'll probably do less than that if it's state time.
She might do 3 or 4.
And then spend a year in a halfway house.
Yeah.
So.
You know what I'm saying? And then she's gonna get a lifetime movie. And Oprah gonna want to do a conversation with her.
Oh yeah. Oprah.
So what have you learned over these years? Meanwhile, Oprah's on house arrest. I digress. Let me leave that alone. Look, with all this stuff going on, I think maybe people just need to go back on quarantine, like heavy quarantine. I think because I don't understand people talking about they miss people, right? I miss interacting with folks. And then we see the foolishness that went down at spring break in Miami.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean, we see folks is back to killing each other. It's like, let's go back on quarantine. Because at least on quarantine, I don't think we had any mass shootings during quarantine, did we?
No.
Like during that first, I'm talking about like when quarantine first kicked off in 2020, like we're talking like March to like June, like heavy quarantine, like it was all shut down. Like you,
all the statistics pointed to crime being down. They had vegetation growing in areas
where
vegetation didn't grow. So yeah, because there were no people out, there was no carbon, whatever comes out of the gas.
Carbon footprint was
low.
low.
It was very low.
It was good for the earth. You know what? Low key, y'all. I think we need to go back on quarantine because obviously y'all don't know how to deal with each other. Y'all get a little bit of freedom. You need to wear that mask to the mall. And Derrick Jaxn, well, actually Derrick Jaxn didn't matter if it was quarantine or pandemic or not. He's got a history of cheating for the last 9 years.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
I mean, he just been fouled. But all this shooting and stuff going on again, I want to go back on quarantine. Because in quarantine, y'all wasn't shooting up grocery stores. Y'all wasn't shooting up schools because there was no kids there, right? Y'all wasn't out here tearing up Miami like y'all got no sense. At least for this first little bit of quarantine, I didn't have to hear about no rappers dying.
I really thought somebody, I'm not gonna lie to you, when I saw that in Miami, I was like, yo, what are they riot? I thought they were protesting. I didn't know it was spring, I had no.
Yeah, I thought it was at least some just.
I thought it was like a protest or something, like, oh, they just down there partying. I'm
like, yeah, just crazy. Acting a donkey. And guess what? We don't condone acting a donkey. For all those, you know, for the white listeners out there that just assume, you know, we're just gonna support protesting and tearing stuff up. We do not provoke and like, we don't promote that at all. You get what I'm saying? These kids act like they had lost their darn mind. And it was a darn shame. Look, I'm going to go to some shout-outs. While I'm going to some shout-outs, you know what I'm saying? I got some more music for y'all. I'm going to play some Giveon. Giveon has a song out here called Favorite Mistake. I'm pretty sure Derrick Jaxn got a lot of favorite mistakes. So I'm going to play some Giveon Favorite Mistake real quick. This is off his When It's All Said and Done album. Giveon is talented, y'all. I like Giveon a lot. Yeah. So I gotta play a little bit of this. Yeah. Are you coming soon to me? He's probably saying this to his shorties. Giveon. Well, Derrick Jaxn was probably saying this. Yeah.
It's my secret safe. You know what's ironic? It's probably gonna be more people that want to sit there now because they know he get down like that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's probably gonna be like, oh, I didn't know he did that. Let me go ahead and
get in his DMs.
Hey, King, just want to let you know, hold your hand if you need anybody to talk to out here.
Yeah, we can pray together.
Yeah, I know.
But remember, he said he got no sympathy for men that cheat. So I hope he takes his own advice. So anyways, yeah, that's a Giveon. Let me go to some shout outs real quick. Shout outs. Today was Palm Sunday for all my saints. Palm Sunday today. Y'all know Easter Sunday coming up next week. Speaking of Easter Sunday, we're not having a show next Easter. This next Sunday, which is Easter. And we probably won't have a show most of April. We might be back we may be back April 25th, but we haven't quite decided yet. For those that don't know, Katrina and I are getting married, so we're gonna be out the country. All right, we're gonna be living our best life. We're gonna be making our IG live. You know what I'm saying? Our IG gonna live. We gonna get likes.
Do you guys have your hashtag yet?
Oh yeah, it was. She came with the hashtag. I wasn't really into it, but it's hashtag love don't cost a thing. Love the cost of thing. Yeah, love the cost of thing. I'm supposed to know this better than that, y'all. So we're gonna be gone most of next month. So we're gonna be like on sabbatical or whatever you want to call it. Cause we're gonna be married. All right. So we're gonna be living the married life. You know what I'm saying? Pow. You know what I'm saying? Married life. So shout out to that. But yeah, Easter Sunday, the Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire on Versus. So I'm not even trying to compete with that, y'all. I'm just kind of like, look, why try to run the Nitty Gritty show when y'all gonna be watching the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind, and Fire on Versus? So I would say, look, support Versus. Watch that and say it on IG. You can also watch it on the Thriller app as well. Triller. Go support that. That's gonna be dope. Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. You best believe I'm watching.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
And that can go either way because the Isley Brothers, they've been out like almost like a decade before Earth, Wind, and Fire came out.
I don't know what Earth, Wind, and Fire got for Footsteps in the Dark. I
don't know. But then they get Earth, Wind, and Fire got songs like Reasons.
Yeah, but if I'm going like, I guess what I'm saying is if
you like to go off that song that's like
if Isley Brothers play Footsteps in the Dark. I mean, like if Earth, Wind, and Fire play September, you know what I mean? Like, do they have something? I don't know. We'll watch.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's for the love of the music, right? There's really no losers in verses. You know what I'm saying?
That's probably gonna be the best one.
But that's gonna be dope. Oh, thanks, Alicia. She said she loves that hashtag. Thanks, Mama. She said congratulations. So definitely check that out. Also, another shout out. Got a shout out Sierra and Gravely Richardson. They got married yesterday. Sierra's been featured on the Soapbox CC. Yeah. Congratulations. Got some birthdays. Shout out to Aletha Beck-Smith. Shout out to Rachel Awkward. Shout out to Lola Jaramillo. Shout out to Malcolm Andrews. Shout out to Mahogany Williams. Shout out to Charnay Williams. Shout out to Tyra Laster. And last but not least, shout out to my homeboy Armando Pantola. Some of you guys may follow him on IG, Tall Guy Tycoon. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin, blockchain, and just investing in stock market in general, y'all should holler at my brother, man. He's good at what he do. And y'all already know, y'all can buy some merch. You go to www.squadlocker.com, The Nitty Gritty Show, www.squadlocker.com, and then you just got to type in The Nitty Gritty Show. You got to type in the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. Buy some merch and support us, y'all. We appreciate you. I hope you guys like the new format. For those checking us out on Facebook and YouTube, we got some more great things coming to you guys. We're going to start doing food guests on the Nitty Gritty Show. We have a young lady, I want to say it's Tasty Sweets. She does cupcakes. Shout out to Pastor Paul. He has his barbecue company. He's going to be coming on. Shout out to my cousin, Cecily, One Bite. Shout out to my other cousin, Grant Thompson, DC Shy Pie. These are some of the first people to agree to come onto the show. They'll be on really soon. So look for that new piece of information. Also, when we get back from our honeymoon and all that good stuff, we're going to start doing Music Mondays on the Nitty Gritty Show. Talking about the latest music that came out. We just talk music for like good 20, 30 minutes. Talk a little trash. Y'all can go live with us for a little bit. So yeah, man, that's it. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Anytime, bro. Congratulations again.
Yeah.
I'm happy for y'all, man, and I think it's going to be great.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to hear about it when we get back.
Yeah, and we'll probably be saying some further congratulations to you, because we know y'all got some things in the works. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's so we're always proud when we see black folks doing great things. Yeah, so we'll be shouting that out here real soon. Yeah. So look, you guys, thank you guys for joining. We about to be out of here. It's the Nitty Gritty Show. Kat, she was with us in spirit. And we'll see you guys probably April 25th. Y'all be blessed. Alright, look for some soapboxes. We will probably drop a few of those in the process though. Alright? We out of here.